I want you to just imagine a scenario for a moment.
Okay, let's hear it.
So you have planned this trip for months. I mean, maybe even years, right?
Oh, yeah, the big dream vacation.
Exactly. You are finally on your dream vacation. You are walking down the really vibrant, crowded streets of New York City. Or perhaps you're wandering through this beautiful, historic neighborhood in London.
Sounds perfect so far.
Right. The itinerary is packed. The weather is totally cooperating. You are basically having the time of your life.
I can picture it.
And then you wake up the next morning. But you don't just wake up. You wake up with a splitting, pounding headache.
Oh, no.
Or even worse, this terrible, twisting stomach ache that just keeps you completely anchored to the hotel bed.
Yeah, that is the absolute worst case scenario for a traveler.
It really is.
It just completely derails everything you've worked so hard to plan.
Because, getting sick at home, in your own house, in your own country, it's simply a nuisance.
Right. It's annoying but manageable.
Exactly. You know the routine. You know exactly which cabinet the pain relievers are in. You know what the box looks like. You know what the pills look like. And most importantly, you know exactly how they make you feel.
You have that built-in comfort zone.
Right. But getting sick when you are abroad, in a foreign country where people speak a completely different language.
It's a totally different ballgame.
It is. That transcends a mere nuisance. That becomes terrifying.
It really does. It creates this profound shift in your baseline sense of security.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Because almost every single traveler experiences this at least once in their life. That sudden realization that you are physically vulnerable in a place where you do not fully grasp the rules.
Or the language.
The language, yeah.
And that feeling of vulnerability is exactly what we are tackling today. So welcome to the Deep Dive.
Glad to be here.
Today we are looking at a really fascinating collection of materials. They're specifically designed to decode the natural English phrases you need to navigate a foreign pharmacy.
Which is such a critical skill.
It is. Our mission here is very practical. We really want to equip you, the listener, with the knowledge and the vocabulary so that you never, ever have to play a desperate, embarrassing game of medical charades when you are overseas.
And I think it's important to note, especially since we know a lot of our listeners are actively working on their English skills, we want to keep things accessible today.
Yes, absolutely.
We want to make sure the vocabulary we discuss is clear, and we're going to take our time explaining these concepts.
Right, because when you are sick, the last thing you need is a complicated grammar lesson.
Exactly. To really understand why this specific situation, walking into a pharmacy, is such a massive hurdle, we have to examine the psychological aspect of the challenge.
The mindset of being sick abroad.
Right, because we are not just talking about translating words from a dictionary. When you are sick, your brain is foggy.
Oh, totally.
Your body is dedicating all its energy to fighting an infection or, healing a localized pain. And that means your cognitive energy, your ability to think clearly, to recall vocabulary, to process a second language, it's severely drained.
I mean, your mental battery is practically flashing red. You are running on empty.
You're operating at a fraction of your normal capacity. And then you take that foggy, exhausted, battery-depleted brain, and you force it to walk into a foreign store.
Which is just a recipe for disaster.
It is. You are immediately faced with walls and walls of unknown medication brands.
Right, everything looks different.
The colors on the boxes are different. The packaging shapes are unfamiliar. And when you add the intense pressure of trying to communicate complex physical sensations in a second language on top of all that visual noise, it creates a perfect recipe for severe information overload.
Yeah, information overload. And when that happens, you just shut down. You freeze.
Exactly. So today we are going to break down everything you need to know to survive this specific ordeal.
Step by step.
Step by step. We will map out the actual physical geography of the pharmacy so you know exactly where you were supposed to be standing.
Which is huge.
It is. We will discuss the collaborative mindset you need to adopt before you even open your mouth.
Right.
And we are going to explore the essential natural vocabulary, what the source materials call pocket words.
I love that term. Pocket words?
Yeah, words you just keep in your pocket, ready to use. These will allow you to communicate your needs clearly and effectively without the stress.
So before we even touch on the language, I think we have to understand the environment itself.
The physical space.
Right, because the physical space dictates how the interaction is going to play out. You have to understand the geography of the store, and you have to understand your own mental state within that geography.
The physical layout is always the very first hurdle. And interestingly, that hurdle begins before you even leave your hotel room.
Usually when you open a map app on your phone, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
because the very name of the destination changes depending on your geographical location.
Right. It all comes down to cultural naming differences.
Which can be so confusing for language learners.
It really can. So,
Oh.
for example, if your dream vacation happens to be in the United States, you are going to be searching for a pharmacy or a drugstore.
Right? Pharmacy or drugstore.
And these are usually massive retail chains. I mean, you see big signs for places like CVS or Walgreens on almost every major street corner in the U.S.
Those terms are deeply embedded in North American English.
Yeah.
But if your travels take you to the United Kingdom or, say, down to Australia, you need to adjust your search parameters.
You can't just ask for a drugstore.
No, you will rarely hear a local tell you to walk down the street to the drugstore. They will direct you to the chemist.
The chemist, I've always found that term so fascinating.
Just a great word.
Because if you're learning English, the word chemist might conjure up this image of a literal laboratory.
Right, you picture scientists in white coats.
Yeah. Mix like glowing green liquids in glass tubes or something.
But in London or Sydney, that is just the everyday neighborhood shop where you buy your cough drops and your shampoo.
It's so mundane compared to how it sounds.
It is. The historical evolution of the word is tied to the profession of mixing compounds, which is what early pharmacists actually did.
That makes sense.
So, knowing whether to look for a glowing red CVS sign or a local chemist shop, that is step one.
Right.
But once you actually cross the threshold and step inside the building, you have to read the room.
You have to figure out where to go.
Exactly. The layout of these stores, almost globally, is divided into two distinct zones. And mastering these zones is how you begin to regain control of the situation.
Because when you first walk in, especially when you feel terrible, it just looks like an ocean of products.
It's a blur.
But there is a specific logic to it.
There is. The first zone is the front register.
Okay, the front register.
This is usually located near the main entrance or maybe at the end of the primary aisles. The front register is designed for basic, mild items.
The easy stuff.
Right. These are products that you can physically pull off the open shelf yourself, put into your own shopping basket, and carry up to a cashier.
So we are talking about mild pain relievers for a minor headache, maybe some vitamin C supplements.
Basic cough syrups, throat lozenges, adhesive bandages.
Yeah, these are low-stakes items. You don't need any special permission or a medical consultation to buy them.
Exactly. But if you look deeper into the store, usually all the way at the back, you will see a completely different area.
The back counter.
The back counter. And this space is structurally elevated.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the counter itself is literally higher up.
Oh, right, it is.
And the person standing behind it is usually wearing a professional uniform or a white coat.
This is where the pharmacist operates.
It feels very official.
It's a designated area of expertise, and it is where the crucial, complex conversations happen.
Right.
If you need something stronger than a basic pain reliever, or if you simply do not know what is wrong with your body, the back counter is your destination.
But approaching that back counter can be incredibly intimidating.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you are already feeling terrible physically, and now you have to walk up to this authority figure and ask for help in a language you might not be entirely comfortable with.
It's a lot of pressure.
It is. And our source materials actually include a story about a traveler that just perfectly illustrates what happens when this environment overwhelms someone.
Yes. The anecdote about the traveler in Germany.
Yeah, this guy named Ethan.
Right.
So Ethan was visiting Germany. He was having this wonderful time, just a great vacation, until he was hit with an aggressively severe case of food poisoning.
Oh, that is brutal.
We are talking about cold sweats. His stomach is tied up in painful knots, just absolute physical misery.
A truly awful physical state to manage while you're thousands of miles away from your own bed.
Exactly. So he manages to walk into a local German pharmacy. And the source describes it as being pristine, bright, extremely clean, and very, very quiet.
Which can actually make it worse.
Right. The intimidation factor just skyrockets immediately.
Because you feel like you're disrupting the peace.
Yes. And in his panic, nauseous state, Ethan realizes this horrifying fact. He has completely forgotten, or maybe he never even learned, the local vocabulary for his symptoms.
He's drawing a complete blank.
Blank. He doesn't know how to translate nausea. He doesn't know the words for stomach cramps.
Because his cognitive load was entirely consumed by his physical illness, the vocabulary simply evaporated under the stress.
Which is so relatable.
It happens to the best of us.
So, faced with this pharmacist staring at him expectantly in this quiet room, Ethan resorts to the most ancient form of human communication.
Charades.
He starts playing charades. He is standing in this quiet clinical space, wrapping his arms around his stomach, bending over, making these awful groaning noises, and physically pantomiming his agony.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the pharmacist, as you can imagine, was quite bewildered and, frankly, intimidated by this performance.
I mean, it sounds humorous in retrospect, right?
Yeah, we can laugh about it now.
But in that moment, it is a deeply embarrassing and stressful point of friction. And it highlights a vital question. Why does a foreign pharmacy induce this specific kind of panic?
Right, why is it so uniquely overwhelming compared to, for instance, walking into a foreign supermarket?
Exactly, because if I walk into a supermarket in Berlin or Tokyo, even if I don't speak a single word of the language, I can figure out what an apple is.
Right, I can identify a loaf of bread.
Supermarkets provide universal visual anchors.
Visual anchors, right.
A piece of fruit looks like a piece of fruit anywhere in the world. Your brain recognizes the shape and the context immediately.
It's intuitive.
But a pharmacy strips away those visual anchors.
Completely.
You are confronted with rows and rows of identical rectangular cardboard boxes.
And they all look the same.
They are covered in complex multisyllabic chemical names. You do not see the familiar logo of the cold medicine you have trusted since childhood.
The visual cues you rely on for comfort and quick decision-making are just completely absent.
And when those anchors vanish, the brain's natural response is panic. You feel adrift.
You feel lost.
However, the aspect of this that language learners often misunderstand is the actual purpose of that intimidating back counter.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Because it is not an interrogation desk. It is actively designed to be a collaboration zone.
I really, really like that framing. A collaboration zone.
Yes. Pharmacists are highly educated medical professionals. Their primary role at that counter is not simply to scan a barcode and take your money.
Right. They aren't just cashiers.
Not at all. Their job is to help you figure out what you need. They are stationed there to be your partner in solving your health problem. They actually want to help you.
You know, thinking about Ethan, in that pharmacy in Germany, walking in there sick and trying to communicate it, honestly feels a lot like trying to defuse a bomb while wearing thick, heavy oven mitts.
I can see where you're going with that. The dexterity is completely gone.
Exactly. You know exactly what the problem is. You know the bomb is ticking. Your stomach is in agony.
Right.
You even know what needs to happen to fix it. You need a specific chemical compound to neutralize the pain.
Yeah.
But because you are operating in a second language, and because your brain is clouded by a fever or nausea, you lack the precise tools.
The fine motor skills of language.
Right. You don't have the fine-tuned vocabulary you normally rely on in your native tongue. So the language barrier acts like those thick oven mitts.
That's a great analogy.
You are fumbling around, gesturing vaguely, groaning, trying to cut a tiny red wire with massive, clumsy gloves on your hands.
And the cognitive load of the illness is what forces those oven mitts onto your hands in the first place. Every interaction feels clumsy, frustrating, and just fraught with the danger of making a mistake.
It's exhausting. But I have to ask, on behalf of the traveler who just wants to get back to their hotel room and sleep, do I always have to face the back counter?
That's a fair question.
Because if I am wearing those oven mitts, shouldn't my strategy be to avoid the bomb entirely if possible? Like if I just have a standard headache, do I really need a consultation?
That is a very practical question, and it brings us right back to understanding the layout of the store. If you are dealing with a simple, familiar issue, a mild headache, a tiny scrape on your finger, and you are confident you just need a basic item, you do not need to approach the back counter.
So I can avoid it.
Yes. You can remain in the safe zone at the front of the store. You locate the basic pain relievers on the open shelf, take them to the front register, and pay the cashier.
And that interaction requires almost zero complex language.
Exactly. The front register is the low-stress pathway.
Good to know.
But the moment your situation deviates from the simple, the moment your symptoms are complex, or you cannot identify a recognizable equivalent to your home medication on the shelf, you have no choice.
You have to go to the back.
You must take off the oven mitts and approach the back counter. And that is the exact moment where having a concrete linguistic strategy becomes essential.
Right. And that transition, From the safe zone to the back counter is where most language learners stumble.
Because the pressure is on.
We know we have to speak. We know we have to explain the problem. But how do we initiate that conversation naturally? How do we drop the heavy oven bits and communicate clearly?
Well, we have to actively simplify our strategy.
Simplify.
Yes, because the natural instinct for most people speaking a second language under stress is to either vastly overcomplicate their sentences or to attempt a direct word-for-word translation from their native language.
Which usually doesn't work.
In the context of a pharmacy, both of those instincts will almost certainly backfire.
Let's tackle the overcomplication first. Because when people study a language in a classroom setting, they tend to absorb very formal textbook-style vocabulary, right?
They lean heavily on medical jargon, assuming it sounds more accurate or more polite.
But the source materials emphasize this very strongly.
Yeah.
You must avoid medical jargon.
Absolutely. Native English speakers do not walk up to a pharmacist and announce, "I am experiencing acute rhinorrhea accompanied by severe gastrointestinal distress."
Right. If someone walked up to a counter and said that, the pharmacist might assume they were, like, a medical student reading from a textbook.
Or a robot.
Yeah, a robot. It doesn't sound human.
It creates a strange barrier. It can actually confuse the pharmacist because it deviates so wildly from how everyday people describe physical discomfort.
So what do native speakers do instead?
Native speakers rely on brutal simplicity.
Brutal simplicity.
They will point to the area of the body that hurts, and they will use foundational vocabulary. They will just say, "My stomach hurts," or "I have a runny nose."
And runny nose is just so much more effective and universally understood than trying to recall the clinical terminology for, nasal mucus discharge.
Exactly. Simplicity wins every time.
So once you have committed to simple symptom descriptions, you face the very first interaction.
The opening line.
Right. You walk up to the pharmacist, they make eye contact with you, and you have to open the dialogue.
And a lot of learners fall into a trap here.
They do. They use a phrase that seems perfectly logical in their head, but it sounds completely unnatural out loud in English.
Yes. They will walk up and confidently say, "I want to buy a medicine."
I want to buy a medicine.
Structurally, you can understand the intent.
Right. The meaning is there.
But socially and grammatically, it is deeply awkward. It sounds incredibly transactional.
Like a transaction, yeah.
It sounds like a demand placed upon a vending machine rather than a conversation with a healthcare professional.
And the sources suggest a much smoother, more natural upgrade for this opening line.
What's the upgrade?
Instead of demanding a transaction, you frame the interaction as a search for a solution. You state the problem. You shift the phrasing to, "I'm looking for something for a headache."
That's much better.
Or perhaps, "Do you have anything for a sore throat?"
I'm looking for something for... That phrase is brilliant.
It is right. "I'm looking for something for a bad cough."
The linguistic shift there is really powerful.
How so?
Well, by saying, "I'm looking for something for," you are instantly inviting the pharmacist into that collaboration zone we discussed earlier.
Oh, right. You're bringing them in.
You are presenting a condition, and you're asking for their expertise in finding a solution. It is polite, it is natural, and it establishes a partnership.
It totally changes the tone. It goes from a sterile cash register transaction to an actual consultation.
Exactly.
But I want to dig into the mechanics of that first awkward phrase for a second.
Sure, let's break it down.
For anyone learning English, why does "I want to buy a medicine" sound so jarring to a native ear? I mean, why isn't the word medicine a simple countable noun? We count everything else we buy in a store.
That is a massive stumbling block.
It is.
Because it touches on the concept of mass nouns or uncountable nouns in English.
Uncountable nouns.
Right. English generally treats the word medicine when referring to the substance itself as an uncountable mass.
Like water.
Exactly. It is treated the same way we treat the words water or air or sand. You would never walk into a restaurant and say, "I want to buy a water," unless you specifically meant a bottle or a glass of water.
Right. You'd ask for some water.
The substance itself cannot be counted.
So if I have a fever, I don't consume 3 medicines. I consume a specific form of it.
Precisely. You count the delivery mechanism.
The mechanism.
Yes, you can count pills, you can count tablets, you can count drops or capsules. But the abstract concept of the healing substance medicine remains uncountable.
Okay, that makes so much sense.
So when a learner inserts an article and says a medicine, it halts the natural rhythm of the sentence for a native speaker.
It's like a speed bump.
It creates a microsecond of confusion that just disrupts the flow of the conversation.
It breaks the immersion of the dialogue. It's just a tiny grammatical bump in the road, but it's noticeable.
And beyond the grammar, learners often rely on direct translations of their native phrasing because they are striving for clarity.
They just want to be understood.
Right. But unfortunately, direct translations of pain concepts often lead to the next major trap.
Yes. The pain mistake. This is such a common phenomenon.
It really is. A learner might try to express their discomfort by saying, "My head is very pain," or "My stomach is paining."
And any English speaker will deduce what they mean.
Sure, the message gets across.
But it sounds slightly alien.
It does, and it reveals a fascinating philosophical difference in how various languages conceptualize illness.
So this is interesting. How so?
Well, in some languages, illness or pain is treated as an active verb. The body part is performing an action, the stomach is actively doing the paining.
Okay, I see.
Or in other languages, pain is treated as a state of being, like an adjective. The head is currently pain.
But English doesn't do that.
No, English handles physical ailments quite differently. English often treats aches and pains as possessions.
Possessions, like it is an object that I literally own and carry around with me.
Precisely. You acquire the ache.
That is so weird to think about.
It is, but that's how the language functions. Therefore, the natural upgrade is to use the verb have, coupled with the specific ailment, you possess it.
Right.
So a native speaker will say, "I have a terrible headache," or "I have a really bad stomach ache."
I have a headache. It is foundational English, but it completely eliminates that awkwardness of treating pain as an action verb.
Exactly. Now, if the situation is severe, if you are really suffering, like our friend Ethan with his food poisoning, the sources highlight a highly effective casual expression that native speakers use constantly.
Oh, I find this phrase wonderfully dramatic.
It is very expressive.
If you are in serious discomfort, you tell the pharmacist, "My head is killing me."
Yes. My head is killing me. It carries significant emotional weight.
It is incredibly dramatic because obviously a headache is not literally ending your life in that moment.
We hope not.
Right. But by using that specific hyperbole, "my head is killing me," the pharmacist instantly understands the severity and the urgency of your condition.
It bypasses clinical description and goes straight to the human experience of suffering.
It's very relatable.
And it is a colloquialism. When you use it, you bridge the cultural gap. You demonstrate that you understand not just the literal definition of words, but the emotional resonance of the language.
It instantly makes the pharmacist more empathetic to your situation.
It really does.
So let's just pause for a second and consolidate our strategy so far, because we've covered a lot.
Good idea.
Okay, so we understand the physical layout. We know to seek out a chemist in the UK
Right.
or a pharmacy in the US.
Right.
We recognize the safe zone of the front register versus the collaboration zone of the back counter.
Yes.
We have shed our oven mitts by dropping the medical jargon. We know not to ask for a medicine, but instead to invite help by saying, "I'm looking for something for."
Perfect.
And we know how to express our pain naturally, treating it as a possession. "I have a terrible stomach ache," or the dramatic, "My stomach is killing me,"
Exactly. We have successfully established the mindset and the opening moves.
which is half the battle. But now we need to populate our vocabulary with the exact tools required to navigate the middle of the conversation.
The follow-up questions.
Right. The source materials provide a curated list of highly specific terms. They refer to them as pocket words.
Yes, the pocket words. These are concepts you must carry with you, metaphorically, to understand the questions the pharmacist will inevitably ask.
Because if you do not recognize these specific terms, the collaborative process will just stall.
You'll hit a linguistic brick wall.
Exactly. So let's dive into these pocket words. The first crucial concept revolves around accessibility.
Accessibility.
Yes. The term is over-the-counter, which is very frequently abbreviated simply as OTC.
OTC. Over-the-counter refers to any medication that is legally permissible to purchase directly from the shelf.
Right, without needing a formal authorization or a doctor's note.
Exactly. This connects directly back to that front register zone we talked about.
So things like basic allergy medication, ibuprofen, or cough drops.
Yes, these are all over-the-counter. Think of OTC medications as the baseline first aid kit of the pharmacy world.
That's a good way to look at it.
They are readily accessible, they are formulated to handle mild to moderate symptoms safely, and the legal barrier to acquiring them is virtually non-existent.
You simply pick them up and pay.
Right.
That low barrier is great. But it leads directly to the second crucial concept, which represents a massive legal barrier.
The opposite of OTC.
Exactly. The exact opposite of over-the-counter is the prescription.
The prescription. The distinction between these two categories is absolutely vital for a traveler.
Why is it so important?
Well, a prescription is an official, legally binding order from a licensed doctor.
Okay.
It might be a physical piece of paper, or increasingly these days, it's a digital order transmitted directly to the pharmacy's computer system.
So the doctor sends it straight there.
Exactly. And this order is the only thing that authorizes a pharmacist to dispense stronger, heavily regulated medications.
Wow, so this is the heavy artillery of medicine.
It is, and this specific word is where countless international travelers run into a wall of frustration.
Really? Why is that?
Because the laws governing which drugs require a prescription vary wildly across the globe.
Oh, that makes sense. The sources use antibiotics as a primary example, right?
Yes, antibiotics are a perfect example.
Okay, walk me through that.
Let's say you have a really painful ear infection. Now, in certain regions of the world, you might be very accustomed to walking into your local pharmacy, describing the pain, and just purchasing a course of antibiotics directly over the counter.
Right. It is treated as a standard transaction.
Exactly. But if you try that in a different country, say the US or the UK or Australia,
It doesn't work.
the legal landscape is entirely different. In those nations, antibiotics are strictly monitored to prevent overuse and resistance.
So you absolutely must have a prescription.
You must. A pharmacist cannot legally hand them to you no matter how much pain you are in.
Wow. So if a traveler in London walks up and says, "My ear is killing me, I need antibiotics," the pharmacist will simply refuse.
They have to.
And if that traveler doesn't understand the word prescription, they'll be left feeling angry and confused, wondering why they're being denied medicine.
Exactly. If the pharmacist says, "I'm sorry, you need a prescription for that," your journey at the pharmacy is temporarily paused.
You hit a roadblock.
You have to pivot. You must leave the store, locate a walk-in clinic or an urgent care center, be examined by a local physician, obtain the official prescription, and then return to the pharmacy.
That sounds exhausting.
It adds an exhausting layer of logistics to an already miserable day. But understanding that word manages your expectations and prevents a stressful misunderstanding.
So it's essential vocabulary. Okay, moving on to the next essential concept, we have the word symptoms.
Symptoms.
Symptoms are the observable physical signs or feelings of your illness. It is the data your body is generating.
The data.
Right? A persistent cough is a symptom. A high fever is a symptom. A sharp pain behind your eyes is a symptom.
This word is critical because it represents the core of the pharmacist's diagnostic process, doesn't it? It does. When you use that smooth opening line, "I'm looking for something for a bad cold," the very next sentence out of the pharmacist's mouth will almost certainly be, "Can you describe your symptoms to me?"
Right. They need more information.
Because in many foreign healthcare systems, the pharmacist acts as the first line of triage. They need the data to solve the puzzle of your illness.
And if you don't recognize the word symptoms, you won't realize they're asking you for a detailed breakdown of how you feel,
You'll just be staring at each other.
which we want to avoid.
Oh.
Okay, so once you provide those symptoms and the pharmacist recommends a product, you have to navigate a potential landmine.
Oh, this is a big one.
This next concept is a massive trap for tourists. The word is drowsy.
Drowsy. If a medication is labeled as causing drowsiness, it means its chemical composition will actively induce sleepiness.
It's going to knock you out.
This will make you feel incredibly fatigued and heavy.
And manufacturers often put sleep aids into strong cold or flu formulas to force the patient's body to rest and recover.
Right. Yes, which is medically sound if you're planning to spend the next 8 hours in bed.
Right. If you're just going to sleep anyway.
But it is an absolute catastrophe if you are in the middle of a packed vacation itinerary.
Oh, terrible.
The source materials stress the importance of looking for packaging that explicitly states non-drowsy.
Right. Because imagine you are on a high-stakes business trip. You have a massive presentation at 9:00 a.m.
Okay.
You wake up with a terrible cough, you run down to the drugstore, buy a syrup without checking the label, and it happens to be a heavy, drowsy formulation.
You will spend the most important meeting of your career fighting to keep your eyes open.
Your cognitive function will be completely impaired.
Or consider a family vacation. You take a drowsy medication to push through a cold, and then you get behind the wheel of a rental car to drive through unfamiliar mountain roads.
Oh, that's terrifying.
It becomes a genuine safety hazard. Drowsy is the ultimate tourist trap.
So how do we avoid it?
You must make it a habit to actively ask the pharmacist, "Will this make me drowsy?" Or visually scan the box for the non-drowsy guarantee.
Right, look for those exact words, non-drowsy.
Exactly.
Okay, the final piece of navigational vocabulary brings us back to moving through the physical space of the store.
Navigating the shelves.
Right. The word is aisle.
Aisle. The aisle refers to the long walkways situated between the tall shelving units where the products are actually displayed.
Now, I want to take a brief tangent here because this word perfectly encapsulates the absolute absurdity of English spelling for language learners.
It really does. It's a notorious trap.
The word is spelled A-I-S-L-E. I mean, why on earth is there an S sitting in the middle of that word?
The spelling is a messy artifact of historical linguistics. It's an amalgamation of Old French and Latin roots.
It's just cruel.
But for a modern English learner trying to sound it out phonetically, it is a nightmare. It looks like it should be pronounced Eisel or Eisel.
Eisel, right. But the sources provide a vital pronunciation key here.
Yes, pay close attention to this.
The S is completely, entirely silent.
Silent.
The word is pronounced aisle. It sounds exactly like the phrase I'll, as in I will, or the first part of your eyeball, I'll.
I'll. Mastering that pronunciation is essential for efficient navigation.
Because large pharmacies organize thousands of products by these walkways, and they're always numbered.
Always numbered. So if you ask the pharmacist where to find a simple box of bandages, they won't just gesture vaguely to the back of the store.
No, they'll be specific.
They will give you precise coordinates. They will say, bandages are down aisle 4 on the left-hand side.
Aisle 4. And if your brain is listening for the word ISOL, the directions will simply bounce off you.
You won't even register it.
You will miss the cue entirely and end up wandering the store in frustration.
So those are the foundational concepts. OTC for the accessible items.
Prescription for the restricted heavy artillery.
Symptoms, the data you must provide.
Drowsy, the side effect you must avoid if you want to stay awake.
An aisle, with its invisible S, to help you find your way.
That vocabulary framework is really robust. It prepares you for the interaction.
It does. But there is one final critical phase to this entire process.
Ah, yes. The final mile.
The final mile.
Okay, let's assume you have executed the strategy perfectly. You understood the geography. You approached the back counter.
You dropped the jargon and used a collaborative opening.
Right. You supplied your symptoms clearly. You navigated the OTC versus prescription barrier. And you successfully avoided a drowsy medication.
You did everything right.
And the pharmacist hands you the box. The transaction is complete.
You survived.
You can go back to the hotel, right?
Not yet.
No.
If you leave the store without knowing exactly how to consume that medication safely and effectively, the entire mission is compromised.
Oh, of course. The instructions.
You have the tool, but you don't have the instruction manual.
And this is where we run into the final linguistic hurdle. Asking about the dosage.
The dose.
Because once again, direct translation can create a bizarre, awkward moment.
Yes. The sources refer to this as the consumption mistake.
The consumption mistake, it happens constantly.
It does.
A learner is standing there holding the box, and they want to know the frequency of the medication. So they translate their native thought process directly and ask the pharmacist, how many eat one day?
How many eat one day?
Right.
Now, a pharmacist will almost certainly deduce the intent behind the question.
They'll figure it out.
But grammatically, it is fractured. And conceptually, it utilizes the wrong verb for the action.
Because in natural English, we do not eat medicine.
We absolutely do not. We take medicine.
We take it. And the source material offers a fantastic, memorable quote to cement this rule in your mind.
What's the quote?
You eat a hamburger, you take a pill.
Eat a hamburger, take a pill. I love that. It serves as a perfect mnemonic device.
It really does.
And if we analyze the cognitive mapping behind those verbs, it actually makes logical sense. In English, the verb eat is reserved for food. It implies consumption for caloric nutrition.
Right, sustenance.
It involves chewing, tasting, and digesting as part of a meal or a snack. Medicine, however, is a specific chemical agent introduced into the body for a clinical, regulated purpose.
Right. We are not dining on it.
Exactly. We are not dining on it. We are taking a prescribed dose.
It is one of those quirky verb pairings that constantly frustrates language learners.
It really is.
You take a shower, you take a break, you take a pill. It defies literal translation and just has to be absorbed into your vocabulary.
So knowing that how many eat one day is the flawed approach, we need the natural, upgraded phrasing to discover the dosage.
Right, we need the fix.
To sound fluent and clear, You focus on the frequency. You hold up the medication and ask, how often should I take this?
How often should I take this?
It is concise, structurally perfect, and highly natural.
Or, if you want to sound even more precise, maybe using slightly more advanced vocabulary, you can ask, what's the dosage?
What's the dosage? Either of those questions will immediately prompt the pharmacist to deliver the exact numerical instructions you need to recover safely.
It's so much smoother. Now, to really solidify all these separate elements, the source materials provide a really comprehensive, real-world role play.
Yes, the case study.
It is a simulated interaction that weaves every single concept we've discussed today into one continuous narrative.
It's set in a London chemist, right?
Yes, a London chemist. And I want to walk through this scenario step by step, analyzing the dialogue, because it beautifully illustrates the stark contrast between Ethan's disastrous charades in Germany and a truly successful collaborative interaction.
Let's do it. Let's establish the parameters of the scenario first.
Okay.
The patient is a traveler in London. They wake up feeling awful.
Poor thing.
Their physical data, their symptoms include a very bad cold, a severe headache, a sore throat, and heavy chest congestion.
Okay, so a lot going on.
But, crucially for the diagnostic process, they do not have a fever.
No fever. Got it.
So, the patient navigates to a local chemist, recognizes the back counter as the collaboration zone, and initiates the conversation.
And they don't walk up and robotically state, I want to buy medicine.
No, they don't.
Instead, they use our upgraded framework. They say, I'm looking for something for a really bad cold. My head is killing me and my throat is super sore.
Let's pause and deconstruct that opening because it's fantastic.
It really is.
In just 2 sentences, they achieved multiple linguistic goals. They utilized the collaborative invitation, I'm looking for something for.
Right.
They delivered their symptoms with brutal simplicity. Bad cold, throat is sore.
Nice and simple.
And they deployed the native colloquialism to convey the emotional weight of their discomfort. My head is killing me.
It is a flawless opening move. There are no oven mitts hindering the communication here. It is clear and direct.
And notice how the pharmacist responds to that clarity.
How do they respond?
The pharmacist first expresses basic empathy and then immediately pivots into diagnostic mode.
They start gathering data.
Right. The pharmacist asks, are you experiencing any other symptoms? Do you have a fever?
Now, why does the pharmacist specifically zero in on the presence of a fever?
Because the pharmacist is actively ruling out more severe medical conditions.
Oh, I see.
A sore throat, congestion, and a headache are standard indicators of a common viral cold. But if you introduce a high fever to that specific cluster of symptoms, the diagnostic picture changes rapidly.
It could be something worse.
It could indicate the flu or a bacterial infection like strep throat, which requires a completely different treatment protocol. The fever is the dividing line.
This perfectly demonstrates why supplying your symptoms is infinitely more effective than walking in and demanding a specific cure.
Exactly. The pharmacist possesses the medical training to know exactly which questions to ask to narrow down the root cause of the problem.
So what happens next in the role play?
The patient confirms the lack of a fever. They just have the congestion and the headache.
Okay.
But then the patient in our scenario makes a very common traveler error.
Oh no. What do?
They attempt to dictate the treatment. They ask, can I get antibiotics for it?
They try to bypass the over-the-counter options and demand the heavy artillery right away.
Exactly. And this is the moment the pharmacist must manage the patient's expectations and correct their medical assumption.
How do they do that?
The pharmacist calmly explains 2 vital facts. First, they explain the legal barrier. Antibiotics absolutely require a doctor's prescription in the UK.
There is that crucial vocabulary word in action, prescription.
They cannot legally fulfill the request. But second, and fundamentally more important to the patient's health, the pharmacist explains the medical reality.
Which is?
Antibiotics are designed to kill bacteria. They are completely useless against a viral cold.
Oh, right. So even if the patient possessed a valid prescription, taking the antibiotics wouldn't relieve their cold symptoms at all.
Not even a little bit. This exchange is the ultimate proof of why the back counter is a collaboration zone, not a fast food drive-thru.
You can't just order whatever you want.
Right. The patient arrived convinced they needed a specific restricted drug. The expert at the counter guided them away from an ineffective and illegal request, steering them toward a real solution.
So what is the real solution?
The pharmacist expertly pivots the conversation. They state that they have excellent over-the-counter options that will effectively target the symptom.
OTC options.
Yes. The pharmacist selects a combination cold and flu medication specifically formulated to alleviate both the headache pain and the chest congestion simultaneously.
That sounds perfect.
But as they hand the box over, the pharmacist delivers a critical warning.
Okay, listen closely to this.
They say, just a heads up, the nighttime version of this will definitely make you drowsy, so only take it right before bed.
There's the pocket word, drowsy.
Yes, the pharmacist is actively protecting the tourist's itinerary. By highlighting the drowsiness factor, they ensure the patient doesn't accidentally ruin their sightseeing plans by falling asleep on a tour bus.
So helpful.
Mhm.
And the patient accepts the recommendation and the warning.
Yeah.
Then they deploy our upgraded dosage inquiry. They don't ask about eating the medicine.
No, they don't.
They ask, how often should I take this?
And the pharmacist replies with clear numerical instructions. Take 2 capsules every 6 hours with a full glass of water.
Take 2 capsules. Perfect. Now, the interaction is almost complete, but the patient has one final immediate need.
What's that?
They want to consume the medication right there in the store to start feeling better, so they ask where they can purchase a bottle of water.
Yes. And the pharmacist utilizes our final navigational term. They reply smoothly, you'll find the drinks cooler right down aisle 3 next to the vitamins.
Aisle 3. Remember, everyone, the S is completely silent.
Aisle.
It is a textbook example of a successful healthcare interaction in a foreign language.
It really is. The contrast is staggering.
It's night and day. I mean, Ethan in Germany was sweating, panicked, groaning, and gesturing wildly, entirely disconnected from the pharmacist.
A total breakdown in communication.
But this patient in London walked in, clearly framed their problem, answered targeted diagnostic questions, received professional advice, avoided a medication trap, learned the exact dosage, and successfully navigated to aisle 3 without a single moment of confusion.
It illustrates the immense practical power of possessing the correct vocabulary framework.
It really does.
It transforms an overwhelming ordeal into a manageable task.
It is the literal difference between feeling entirely helpless and feeling completely in control of your own well-being.
Exactly.
So, as we wrap up today, let's just consolidate the primary tools we have discussed for anyone listening who might face this challenge on their next trip.
A quick recap. First, master the geography before you enter. Know whether you're searching for a chemist or a pharmacy.
Right.
And understand whether your specific ailment requires the safe zone of the front register or the collaborative expertise of the back counter.
Second, actively simplify your language. Discard the medical jargon and the direct translations. Do not demand a transaction. Instead, invite a partnership by stating, I'm looking for something for.
Third, deeply understand your core concepts, those pocket words. Know the legal and practical difference between accessible over-the-counter medications and those requiring a doctor's prescription.
And provide your symptoms clearly, as they are the key to the diagnosis.
Fourth, vigorously defend your waking hours by always checking for the drowsy warning on the label.
So important.
And finally, internalize the rule of consumption. You eat a hamburger, but you take a pill. When in doubt, just ask, how often should I take this?
I would love for everyone listening to take a moment and reflect on their own travel histories.
Think about it.
Have you ever found yourself in Ethan's shoes? Have you ever had to play a desperate game of medical charades in a bright, quiet foreign pharmacy?
It is a stressful rite of passage for many.
It is. But hopefully, armed with this framework, it is an experience you will never have to repeat.
You know, we have spent this entire discussion focusing heavily on the mechanics of the language, the vocabulary, the grammar, the syntax.
Right.
But there is a much deeper, more philosophical layer to this entire experience that the sources hint at.
Oh, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, when we fall ill in a foreign environment, we are stripped of our usual defenses.
That's true.
We are physically weakened, we're mentally exhausted, and we're culturally displaced. We are incredibly vulnerable.
Way vulnerable.
That vulnerability is key. Because language fundamentally shapes how we interact with the world, we must consider how learning these specific collaborative phrases alters our relationship with the local people we encounter.
How does it alter it?
If you walk into a store driven by panic and aggressively demand a transaction, if you say, I want to buy a medicine now,
No.
you maintain a wall between yourself and the pharmacist.
You remain an outsider.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You remain a stressed tourist barking an order. But when you consciously shift your linguistic approach, when you soften your tone and say, I'm looking for something for this pain, can you help me? You are engaging in a profound social act.
You're asking for help.
Yes. You are acknowledging their local expertise. You are admitting your own vulnerability. You are asking one human being to help another.
Wow. It makes you wonder, could the simple act of shifting your vocabulary from a rigid demand to a collaborative question actually transform a terrifying travel hurdle into a moment of genuine empathetic connection?
Language is rarely just about acquiring goods or services. At its core, especially when we are at our most vulnerable, language is the tool we use to build bridges.
That is a wonderful perspective to end on. It really turns a scary medical detour into a moment where two people are simply working together to solve a problem.
Exactly.
Well, that concludes our deep dive into the language of the foreign pharmacy. But definitely keep your notes handy because based on our source materials, we have another incredibly complex travel challenge on the horizon.
Yes, we do. Next time, we are going to be shifting our focus from healthcare to infrastructure.
Oh boy.
We will be diving into the absolute chaos of navigating public transportation systems in a foreign language.
We will decode the signs, the announcements, and the unwritten rules of trains and buses. Most importantly, we will cover the essential language you need to ensure you do not get swallowed whole by a massive underground subway network.
It is going to be incredibly practical.
It is. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you on the next deep dive.